Welcome to Unstoppable, where dreams turn into plans and plans turn into powerful action. Hosted by Paula Swain, financial planner, business owner, grandma, and queen of reinvention. This show is for women ready to stop surviving and start thriving. We'll laugh, we'll learn, and we'll tackle the messy, beautiful, in-between parts of life that no one really talks about, but we all live through. This is Unstoppable.
Hi, and welcome to Unstoppable. I'm Paula Swain, your host and financial planner with the Financial Center for Women. So a couple months ago, I did some horse meditations, actually meditated with some alpacas, did some arts and crafts at a friend's farm. She had a retreat, like a half-day retreat, which I just totally loved. And while I was there, I learned about all the programs she does for children with special needs. And so I thought I'd bring her on today to talk about her horse farm. So welcome, Deb.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Paula.
You're welcome. So, I should tell you, it's Maple Ridge Farms.
Maple Ridge Farm.
Where's that at? Like, I know it's not far from me, but...
It's in Holly, Michigan.
Okay, Holly. Okay.
Yeah,
I was thinking, I was out there the other day, and I'm like, it's around here somewhere.
Yeah, right down from the Renaissance Festival.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's coming up.
It's going on right now.
Oh, it is?
It is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And actually, this is tape delayed, so it's already going to happen. Okay, so how did you get started with horses?
Yeah, so great question. I always had a passion for horses and nature and learned everything that I could about them, every color, every breed, all their anatomy. And then when I was 12, I was skimming the newspaper back when we relied on newspapers, and I found a horse that I wanted to buy. So I called the people up, I bought the horse, and then I called my parents up because I was at a friend's house and said, Mom, I bought a horse.
Okay, I have to ask, how much was the horse?
$50.
You bought a horse for $50? It
was a little pony, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Can I buy a horse for $50?
Not today, probably.
I wouldn't want, it's got to be a lot to take care of him anyway.
It is. So that's why I've been working since I've been 12, supporting my horses. So that's where it began. Always had a passion for it. Began, going out to Southline and riding horses and baling hay and doing everything you do with horses. And then moved and started to manage a riding stable when I was just a couple years older than that, at 14. And so did that for my entire teenage years. Kept me away from boys. It was a really good thing, my mom and dad thought. And then I went to college and sold my horse. And when I got out of college, bought another horse. And got married and had a couple kids, sold my horse. And then I have 3 boys. And so when my middle son was 12, he was looking for a passion. And I took him to ride horses, and then we started again. So this started probably in 2007. So we got 1 horse for him, then we got a 2nd horse for him, and then a 3rd horse for him, and 1 for me, and then bought a brood mare. Today?
Yeah.
20.
20 horses?
Yeah. So my husband said, if you're going to have this many horses, we really need to buy a farm. So we bought the farm.
I love your husband. Look at him, Mr. Supportive.
Oh, yeah. Well, he thought, well, I'm spending so much money boarding horses that why don't we buy a farm and make it a business?
It's a beautiful farm.
Thanks.
Beautiful farm.
Yeah, so that's where we landed. That was in 2010, in July of 2010. And so we bred horses. I bred Arabian horses. We did some showing. We had some boarders. And then in 2011, I was a coach. And so in 2011, I learned about equine guided learning. So coaching with horses, team building with horses, the power of horses to people to connect to themselves and really find greater meaning and value in their lives.
Yeah, when I went and did that meditation,
Yeah.
I did one at your place, and then I did one at
the Marines. Yeah.
And it was an incredible experience. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And the horses are so calming in nature, and
Yes.
then they calm you and like help clear your head, and it makes sense now why they're so good with children.
Yes. Oh,
Even though they're big and scary, they
Yeah.
can be, intimidating, not scary, we'll just say that.
Yeah, they can be. They're 1,000 pounds. They're intimidating for anyone who doesn't, when
Right.
you first come to a horse. And so, yeah, there's something about them. We're drawn to them. And, when we connect with them, they are calming, right? They just bring you down and remind you what's important in life. They allow you to step back and get away from the hustle and bustle and all the demands that we have, and just take a breath and connect with ourselves and what's truly important.
So why do they, so I have a client that has a daughter who has some special needs, and they've been doing this horse, they take her horseback riding, I think pretty much maybe once a week.
Yeah.
And it's really helps her, and I know it helps children with, you know, ADD or maybe that are suffering from depression or anxiety. How does that all work?
Yeah, that's a great question, because horses, first of all, they're fully present all the time. They've survived more than 50 million years because they're always present. They never think about what happened in the past or what's happening in the future. And when they connect with someone or meet someone, it's always about, who are you? What's at the core? Who are you truly being as a human? And they don't care how much money you have. They don't care what your title is. They don't care what your disabilities are. They're just looking for a genuine connection. And
wait, I gotta
go
interrupt
ahead.
for just a second. What if you're not a genuine person?
So they provide you instant feedback. So if you're not a genuine person, you know, they won't connect with you.
Will they walk away from you?
They will. They will walk away from you. They'll take a look, because they're always assessing. So horses discern. You know, they live in the present moment, but they're going to connect with you energetically. So their energetic field, you know, in their intestines or their mirror neurons, you know, they're always reaching out, and they can connect and really sense what your intention is, what's your energy, who are you as a person. And they decide, are you being who you really are, the genuine Paula? Or are you like, I'm Paula, so I own a business? And so when you're disconnected from who you truly are, the horses sense that, and they're like, yeah, I don't trust you, because you're trying to be someone that you're really not.
So can they help someone who isn't genuine become genuine?
They can, and that is through connection. So I'll give you an example. I had a CEO who came to the farm, and we were doing, just leading had 20 people there, and, very high-powered CEO. He came in his 10-gallon hat, and, so when we come to the horses, we say,
good. I find that funny.
It is, but he was a powerful CEO and very important. And so everyone there, when we, come to the farm, it's like, put your electronic devices down. If you need to hang on to it for an emergency, fine, but really be present. Get out of your head.
People have a hard time being present.
They do.
Even I have a hard time being present sometimes, so I know it. So, but anyway, sorry to.
But when you go to nature with the horses, that's the first thing we ask. Just really get out of your heads, put everything away, just be fully present, because it's something we don't do. And so here he is, and he's like, yeah, I can't put down my phone because I got all these phone calls. And he stood outside, and he came into the arena, and it was his turn. And I had this older Arabian mare. Her name was Lil, a chestnut, redheaded mare, and very calm. And so this gentleman was supposed to, we had zones set up in the arena. His only task was connect with and build a relationship with a horse who doesn't speak your language, but read your energy and your intention, and walk her to the end in your lane and turn around and walk back. Well, these are 20 people who know him, and they're watching him. And Lil, as he's walking down there with his boots and his 10-gallon hat, Lil is gently pushing him over into the other aisleway, into the other zone. We got to the end, and I'm down there and say, what's happening? Why are you out of, why couldn't you get to the end? And he said, I don't know. So we brought him back around, at the end, and I said, just spend some time and just be present and connect with Lil. And so he did. He took a breath, he grounded, he just really spent some time connecting with her. Mm-hmm. Who are you? And they walk back perfectly. So that's how horses do it. They do it very subtly, where, like, if you're not being authentic, if you're not, if you're pretending to be something that you really are, they have no interest in you.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a good lesson for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's great that you work with children, adults, and then you work with businesses, because
Yeah.
I really think that that whole bonding and that whole leadership of understanding your employees is could be beneficial to a team.
Yeah, so leadership is about presence. And what is presence? It's not your title. It's not the suits that you wear, but presence is about who are you being, who are you showing up as. And you can see people with presence when they walk into a room, they really connect with people genuinely.
Right.
They don't just say, oh yeah, Paula, how are you? Like, and move on. But
That's
they
a politician.
Really, it is. But they really, take the time to connect. It's a gift that we don't give each other very often, to listen and to connect. And what's important to you, let me tell you, find out about you rather than let me tell you all about myself.
So, I was telling you before that I started writing that book, and there's a chapter on that about being present. 'Cause
Yes.
when I was in Greece, I spent 3 weeks in Greece, and when I was coming home, I did a solo trip. So when I was coming home, I didn't want to forget all the lessons that I learned, because I learned a lot, because I'm not the most graceful person, so I had cuts and bruises and got lost and car accidents and all these other things. No, but it was okay. It was okay.
Yeah.
I was meant to learn all those things,
Yeah.
and it makes for a wonderful story when I tell it.
Oh, yeah.
But I was coming home, and I'm like, how do I stay present? Like, because there I was present. I had to be. Like, I didn't have people texting me or clients calling me.
Yeah.
I was just, the only time I was on my phone was to take pictures.
Yeah.
So I was present the whole time. So now I'm coming home. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm getting on the shuttle to come back to Newark Airport to come home. And I get it in the shuttle bus, and there's this song, and it's Dear Lord. I can't remember the words, although I could sing it if the music was playing, but I can't know. It was a song by Jeremy Camp called Keep Me in the Moment.
Oh.
So if you haven't ever heard that song, you should go listen to it.
I will.
But it's such a beautiful song, and I try to listen to it every day about staying in the moment.
Yeah.
And how we don't. Like, people will go and they're sitting across from their family in restaurants, or they're, with their grandkids or their children, and they're like this. Everybody's like this.
They're not connecting at all.
They're not present.
They're not present. And that's one of the things that there's a lot of research now talking about depression. A lot of people are depressed. But we're finding is that people. They need connection and relationships. And one of the things that horses teach us is because they don't speak our language. One of the things that we structure in our workshops or the one-on-ones is that your job is to make a connection to this sentient being, this horse, who doesn't speak your language. So how are you going to do that? And so you experience what it is. You try different things, but
Well, explain that a little deeper. Like,
yeah.
How do you connect with the horse? I mean, like, when you think about it, like, do different. You're saying do different things. Is it through touch, or is it something you do with inside of you? How does that work?
One of the beauties of working, experiential with horses is it is experiential. We encourage you, try. There's no right or wrong. But what you're doing is you're trying different things and seeing the reaction of the horse, right? So if you go to touch a horse, they may step away. Well, why is that? Well, maybe they weren't ready for you to touch them, right? So you try different things. You can connect. Horses has huge energy fields. So you can connect with them from 5 feet away. It doesn't matter. They know a mile away when you're there, because they can, they're always observing the environment. But the beauty of it is you figure out what's the best way to connect. So think about if you're in business, this is a translation to business, and you work on global teams, and you meet people from another country. They don't speak your language,
right?
And so if you go up to someone in a country who they don't touch, and you go up, and I've done this before in India, go up and grab someone, and, like I do, because I'm a hugger, and they're like, I invaded their personal space.
Right.
Or think about someone from another country who is, they're used to close personal space, and they get close to us, and we start to back away. So that's the self-awareness that horses teach us about how do I know what's right for that particular individual. And you do that with a horse. How do I know? I build that muscle on how to be aware, read their body language. You know, are they turning their head away from me? And so do I force myself on them, or do I meet them where they're at? And you can translate to that to, you know, our everyday. Building a relationship is about really
Meeting
listening.
people where they're at. I
Meeting
love
people
that.
Where they're at. Yeah.
Because so many of us don't meet people where they're at.
No.
We're trying to force somebody to be somebody that they're not,
Yeah.
or to be more like us. And if you can
Yeah.
just accept and meet people where they're at,
Yeah.
and that'd be huge for a boss with his employees.
Very
or
much
her
so.
employees.
Yeah, very much so. It's accepting everyone. We make so many judgments about people because we're very left brain, very linear thinking, you know, and being able to tap into creativity and curiosity. Like if you're going to connect with a horse, you need to be curious. What's going to work? What doesn't work? That's where the experiential piece is. Let me try this. Let's see how the horse likes it. Let me try that. We don't get that opportunity with people that often.
No, we don't.
No.
Usually we've got, what's the first impression? 7 seconds? And
Oh, yeah. It's very, very quick. And usually we have a persona.
Yeah.
Right? I have a role, right? And I'm trying to sell you something, or I'm trying to tell you a little bit about myself. Rarely do we just let it unfold. And you know, the other thing is we never listen.
Oh, I do. I practice listening.
Yeah.
Because people don't.
They
And
don't.
in order to really understand someone, you have to listen and then
Yeah.
repeat back to them what they've said
Yeah.
in their words, not in your own,
Yeah.
so that they know that they've been heard.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference when you're having a conversation with someone and they know they're
Very
being
true.
heard.
I like to say that listening is a gift. You know, and if you think about if you've ever, you know, held an elder relative who, you know, is maybe in bed, you know, they don't get around that much, and, you know, you go sit with them, and I've done this many times. Oh, it's the holidays. What would you like for a present? I don't need anything. I just want you to sit here and be with me. It's a gift, and we don't give it very often,
No.
and it's free.
Yeah. And hugs are free too.
Hugs are free too.
So I read this one time that if you hug someone, the appropriate amount of time for a hug is 20 seconds. So I tried it.
Woo, that's a long time.
It's a long time. Like some people, it's amazing. Like I would
Yeah.
hug you for 20 seconds, I'd have no problem.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like creepy.
Yeah, sometimes
Like,
it is.
whoa, this is way too long.
Yeah, so that self-awareness, that's what horses, when we talk about emotional intelligence, right? It really is about, first of all, being aware of ourselves. So self-awareness, what am I feeling? What am I noticing about myself as I'm meeting someone? What am I noticing about that other person? What am I noticing about the environment around me? Because we get so, you know, I was just on a boat with my father-in-law, and I watch him, you know, very task-oriented. It's like, okay, is everybody on the boat? Yeah, well, Dad, I'm still out here because I've got the bow line I got to take off. And he's like, okay, we're on the boat. And he starts to close up the gangway. He had a task, and he wasn't, you know, I mean, he's 92, so it's all right. But he wasn't able to read the environment.
Right. A lot of people can't do that.
Yeah, because we're so go, 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 go. And so when you come to the farm or with your animals or in nature or horses, you're able to put that aside and you start to remember what's really important. You know, I've had people come to the farm and they said, you know, I've been to a lot of meditation, I've been to a lot of things, and just sitting and observing the horses, experiencing the energy. That's what makes, I think, the farm different, is that when you arrive there, the horses surround you, and that energetic field is there, and it just draws you in. But she said, that's the most peaceful I've ever been.
It is. You are very, when you are with the horses, you are very peaceful.
Yeah.
It's like they just take all of that
They do.
away from you.
Yeah, they do. They reach in, you know, there's some studies done from folks who have PTSD, you know, and they talk about, you know, talk therapy with PTSD, it only gets you so far. When you get folks with PTSD with horses, there's something about it. You know, the horses, accept them for who they are, acknowledge, having emotions are a normal part, but you have to have them and experience them to get through it. And that's the most effective therapy. So you see a lot of equine therapy for PTSD, returning military. Yeah.
I know when I was at the farm, you had that one, is it a corral?
The round pen?
Where you talked about how this young girl that was struggling, that came and she didn't really want to be there, but yet she went in. Can you share that experience?
Yeah, that was, there's been a couple of those, but so I'll tell you about this young girl. She was 15, and her mom brought her. And her mom said she was just going into high school, a beautiful girl, very smart, very voluptuous. I mean, she's beautiful. And she was really struggling with the pressures, from young men, from the boys, from other girls. And she was just stressed and anxious, more than what you would see a normal, perhaps teenager. But, we just walked, and we walked until we got to the pasture where I have a band of broodmares. So they've all had
the one
babies.
with the big rock in the middle?
Yeah.
I know, I want to go hang out there.
Yeah. So it's these broodmares, they've all had babies. And so I was thinking about this one. And they don't have any job other than occasionally they might have a baby, but they stay out there 24/7. They're just like wild horses. And so we walked into the pasture, and we walked in 5 mares, and many of them who you can't even touch, put a halter on them or anything. They all surrounded her.
Oh, wow.
And
that had to be incredible.
It was, because I was standing back like, sometimes we say, you just can't make this up. But the horses give you what you need. And what she needed, and she talked about it later, was that unconditional love and acceptance for who she was. But they came around and just circled her with their noses toward her and stood there while she reached out and she connected with each of them. She was laughing. And so when she was finished, we walked back and, how was that for you? She said, I wish I'd come this morning because I feel so wonderful and just so calm. And she eventually went on to school. So she was 15 then. She just recently graduated from Michigan State. She still remembers that as kind of a really a seminal time, an important time in her life that gave her confidence and courage and a connection, a sense of she was okay for who she was. She didn't have to be anybody else. It was those mares.
That, I really understand how she felt, because when I had that meditation over at Maureen's place,
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever forget that. And I can't even put into words what that experience was like.
Yeah.
It's because at one point the horse, she said, ask the horse a question, and I said, help me open up my heart. And so the horse, literally, which was standing over me the whole entire time, like this close to my face, I was breathing in his breath, he was breathing in my breath, took his head, went down to my heart, hung out there for a minute, made this little clearing sound, went up, put its head on top of my head, and just hung out there.
Yeah.
Did the same thing.
Yeah.
And then came down and put its lips right on my forehead.
Wow.
And I was just like, I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that
Yeah.
feeling that
Yeah.
I had.
Yes.
It was incredible. I wish I could come up with the word, but I can't.
No, and I think that's what horses do, because we live in our heads. We were so disconnected from our bodies and our emotions. And what horses do is they connect us to our heart. They connect us at the cellular level. So just as you said, it's an experiential thing that it's hard to put into words, because it's a feeling. It's like being in a place that always brings you peace and remind you, like, this is what's important to you.
Yeah. I wish everybody could experience that. Oh, they can. They can come to your farm.
They can.
They can come to your farm.
They can.
So, and let's talk about that. You don't have to have experience with horses to come.
No, some of the most profound experiences are people who don't have horse experience. So when you come to the farm, the first, safety is very important. But as soon as you come through the gate, you start to get a sense that it feels different. It's very peaceful. And so, but the work that we do is all on the ground. There is no riding. because you're on the ground and equal with a 1,000-pound animal, and they don't speak your language. You've got to connect with them and build a relationship and, get comfortable with them. And so, those are probably the people who have the most profound experience. Everybody does, but what I see are people say, oh, no, I'm not going to touch that horse, and that's okay.
We did the day I was out there was a woman who said she wasn't going to touch the horse, but she did.
And those are the people, it's at the end of it, they're the ones that are hanging onto the horse and say, take my picture, or, they're connecting in a way that's very important for them. So, yeah, it changes.
Yeah, it's pretty life-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you kind of, because you're around it so much, do you kind of like anything, you kind of get, I don't want, desensitized isn't the word that I want to use, but I can't think of the word. But it's just normal? I mean, do you get that feeling, or do you still feel that awe and wonder every time?
Yeah, so I do feel the awe and wonder every time. And so a lot of times when I am, stressed, we have a lot of things to do in life. We have things to take care of. And when I'm feeling overwhelmed, when I go out, and just in the pasture with the horses, or just grooming them and brushing them, or just sitting, it's like, I remember this is what's important. And that's exactly what I say. This is what's important to me, to slow down and be present and be someplace that is meaningful for me. I mean, I can go and, I do consulting, and I can go to meetings, but at the end of the day, when I sit down, I'm like, I take a breath.
Okay, so let's talk about that, since you're a consultant.
Yes.
And you work with, business owners,
yes.
executives. Who gives the better advice, the horse or you?
It's never me. It's always the horse, and it's always unexpected, because what I do as a facilitator, I watch the horse's behavior, right, and try to point that out. I don't tell people what it means, because I don't know what it means. It's what it means for the person who's having that experience. But I'll give you a story. So there was a woman, and she's been coming. I've coached her for a long time, without the horses and with the horses. And she had a relationship that she'd been into with a man for 15 years. And it wasn't a good relationship. She wasn't happy. And so we worked with a horse, my little white Arabian Santa Fe. And we went into the indoor arena, and she did some connections, some things with her heart, and and then it's like the horse is at liberty, no lead line, no halter, and she began to walk around the arena. And I have a video of it, and Santa was right behind her, following her. Now, I looked at that and I said, that's a beautiful connection in my mind. When she got back, it's like, what did that mean for you? She said, what I got from that is that's what a partnership is really about. And for her, it was profound. And she broke up with this guy after 15 years. Wasn't my intention. I don't think it was hers. But she became very clear on what was important to her, and the horse showed her that this is what partnership is about.
I got chills on that one. That was such a great story.
It was amazing. Yeah, and it was life-changing for her, because she'd really kind of been stuck in this relationship and unhappy and didn't know how to get out of it. But it was that clarity that she learned from partnering with the horse about who are you, what's important to you, and it's okay. I value you for who you are. Oh.
Wow, that's an incredible experience. Really, I think everybody should go just one time, because
yeah.
I mean, you're sharing your experiences, I'm sharing mine, but it's still, until you actually go and live it and go experience that with the horses. And I know you do events and retreats.
Right.
And they can find that on your website, which we'll have in the show notes, that everybody can go and get that. But because this is my show and I am a financial planner,
Yes.
so we're going to talk just a second about if you could go back and talk to your younger self, what would you say to yourself about the things that you've learned and maybe how it would relate to money? But I mean, like for you, you bought a horse when you were 12. You're managing a, not a horse farm, but I can't remember the term that you used, at 14. So I mean,
Yeah, riding stable. Yeah.
Yeah, riding stable. So I mean, you're a go-getter.
Yeah.
But would you go back and tell your younger self anything different?
Yes, I would. So so when I was in college, I followed my passion, right? I was with horses and I learned to follow my passion, and I was a German language and literature major, at University of Michigan with a linguistics minor. And I remember getting to the final part of my degree and I'm like, I don't have a job. What am I going to do? So I jumped into speech pathology and audiology and, did the foundation for that. And it wasn't my passion. And then I went to work with General Motors. I was getting money to go back to get my master's. And I got on that path at General Motors. And I lost my passion, with the horses and what was truly important to me. And it was, you chase things.
Yes,
like,
you do,
because you go to school. I heard a parent talk about their child had just got a PhD. Well, she got her PhD, she needs to be out making the kind of money, that, would pay for this education. And she's doing rescuing animals in Texas. And they're very unhappy about that. But what I found is that I chased, I worked hard, I enjoy working, but you get so linear chasing the next promotion, more money, and I found when I had my third son, I was out and I found coaching. But I remember saying, boy, this isn't what I want on my tombstone. But, I went back in. And so finding the courage, which I have finally found, to step out of corporate for good and say, when we bought the farm in 2010, I looked around and said, this is an experiential learning center. Horses bring people here so they can really transform their lives and connect to themselves the way that the farm has allowed me to do on the horses. And I'm more joyful, right? I can work really hard, but what we don't find every day is just peace and slowing down and putting social media and all the electronics and the demands of life to find out what's really important. There's a study that nurses with in hospice, taking care of people at the end of their lives, and they've asked them, what was the most important thing, or what do you regret? But what's the most important thing? It wasn't about the job they had. It wasn't about how much money they had, but it is what was the meaning of their life? How did they help somebody else? How did they, the relationships that they had? So
I get that because through the whole process I have from when my husband and I, or my ex-husband and I, started to divorce until today, I've been really, really focused on growth. And I think one of the things that somebody had said to me, and it really set in, is about that kind of tombstone thing is, what would you like people to be saying about you at your funeral?
That's right.
Or what would you like your obituary to say? So I now kind of think about those things as I'm going throughout and living my passions and saying, well, yeah, this is really what I want people to remember me by.
Right. It aligns with your values, and we lose sight of the values. They're not our values, it's what the society outside of us telling us our values should be. We live sometimes just really destination. We're on a path, and what we do oftentimes is we find that we're really not fulfilled. Yeah. We've reached it, but now what? And
that's the worst feeling ever. To think that you've accomplished this goal that you've set out to, and then you're like, I didn't really want that.
Is that all there is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's hard.
And it is, but it happens to all of us. So you do have to make money, to support the things that you do. But I think what happens is that if we look at what we fill our lives with, it seems financially like we go out and we buy. I did it.
But you don't need it.
No, and so if you can find out really what's important in your life, then you can make different decisions. Do I really need that? Whatever it is. Like, no, I really don't.
What I find is that when I talk with clients today that are, because most of my clients are, I work with them as they accumulate money, and then as they're, we're providing income during their retirement.
Yeah.
And now they're like cleaning house, and they're like, and nobody wants your stuff. Nobody wants
Nope.
it. So you think your kids are going to want it, but they don't. They realize, why did I even have this?
Yeah.
Like, this is just stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that we need clothes, food.
Safety, security, you need
Yeah.
all those things.
But if you think about, do you really need that? I don't know, just whatever you're thinking, just make something up in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to give me joy, or could that money have been used for an experience? And that experience is going to stay with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And with the people that you experience it with.
Yeah.
And that is so much more, it's more of a gift that you can give yourself and the people around you to give experiences versus spending money that really doesn't mean anything in the end.
Yeah, money is important, but when you get to be at a certain point in your life, you realize, wow. Because then we shift. And I think that's why, a lot of people come to the farm because they're searching, right? I just don't feel fulfilled. I don't know. People talk about purpose. It's about creating meaning for your life. And, I like to say in my life, I follow breadcrumbs. Sometimes I have a vision, but that vision is aligned with my values, right? And it's, it doesn't have to be specific. But, for me, it's like transforming lives, partnering with people to help them connect to themselves, through nature, through the horses. And that's what's gratifying to me, because it is life-changing.
I think that's the perfect end note to this segment, because it is important to, if you are struggling and you don't maybe know what your purpose is, or looking for your passion, to go spend a couple hours with some forces. Get that word out of my mouth. Go spend a couple hours with some horses.
Yeah. Yes. And there's a group coming Sunday for that very reason. And, when we allow ourselves, when we open up our curiosity, rather than expectations of like, am I doing this right? There's no right or wrong way with the horses.
Right. Well, the horses is going to really lead anyway, right?
They do. They'll take you where, what's important to you, but they help you uncover that, and then being able to walk away with that and, think about your life a little bit differently.
We got to end. We
Thanks.
could keep going for hours.
I know we
but
could.
We have to end. So if you, how do I want to say this? Like, I can't explain, like I've said before, how much that experience meant to me. And if you can, just go give it a try. It really, truly is a life-changing experience. So this is Unstoppable. I'm Paula Swain. This is where we grow, dream, and thrive. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Unstoppable. Do you have a question for Paula? Send it our way. To schedule a one-on-one consultation, give us a call. Unstoppable is brought to you by Paula Swain and the Financial Center for Women. Dream, grow, thrive.